All right, all right. We are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome. This is episode 25 of The Good Life. Welcome, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, we made it to
Snuck
25
up on us.
real quick, real quick. But man, it's been a great ride. Uh, we've been continuing to share this information with you guys and really get a chance to just have thoughtful conversations around health, wealth, love, and happiness, the areas of our life that we want to continue to improve and grow so that we can get to or experience the good life, right? Like whatever that means for you. We were just on our pre-game. We're about to get going on Instagram here. Let me see, make sure we're good. Let me back out of this one. Stu, you guys are in. All right, I'm in. Stu, cool. You can request me. I don't know if you're muted on this side, Stu, but either way. As we're getting set up over here on Instagram, again, we just want to welcome everybody. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Press that thumbs up, hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff that you're supposed to say to keep things moving. Make sure you guys do that because, again, we want to get this in front of as many people as possible because we have really great stuff to be able to share with you. For those of you that got a chance to jump on our pregame on Instagram, man, we were just having an amazing conversation, and we're going to continue that conversation right now. Just make sure that's low. There we go. We're having an amazing conversation. We want to continue that conversation right now with all of you. And that was the conversation, how it's just to intro it, how it started was we were talking a little bit about childhood and the experiences that we have gone through. Specifically, Stu and Kobi shared a ton, and I'll have you share a little bit kind of to give this audience a little bit more background and context on what we're talking about, but just the childhood experience coming with depression and anxiety and some other things that may have come into play. And really could be said it on our pregame that like really this sums up in the group of trauma and how trauma actually how we use it in order to get to a better life, in order to tap in and really start to learn some things about ourselves that will benefit us and help us moving forward. And so we want to continue to have that conversation because we know there's so many of us out there that are experiencing some form of trauma. And because of that, we want to be able to help you through and talk it through a bit. And Kobi, I'm gonna jump in with you real quick because again, you shared some awesome stuff on the pregame, just about a little bit of your story and getting here. And I want you to share it again, just briefly about kind of how the early parts of your life started off to get you to where you are now, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And y'all got to get on the pregame because we are live type of individuals. So when I deliver it live, I deliver it raw. And you may not get it right the second time. So we'll do our best to try to reproduce. But you got to get on the pregame because the pregame, that's the back channel. You know what I'm saying? That's taking you backstage. That's for the real ones. That's for the day ones. The day ones. So you got to get on that.
That's right.
But for me, man, as many of you may know, I was born in Pokwasi, Ghana, a small village, no longer probably a small village, probably changing dramatically. And my mother had me. She was young, and so I really got to see the kind of I really got to kind of grow up with my mother. So we have a special bond in that way. But she remarried, and then I was in. Nobody came to me and was like, "Hey, Kwabena," which is my full name, by the way. Kwabena, would you like to go to America? Right? Nobody did that. It was just like, oh, we're you got to get these shots. By the way, never got those shots. By the way, until I had to leave for the USA. I was healthy as hell, but hey, that's a story for another day. But Kwabena, we got to get these shots. For what? Where we going? We're going to America. Yeah, right. So I was a little kid. I was excited, but I didn't know what it meant. Now, when I left the U.S., or when I left Ghana and came to the U.S., man, I essentially was, taking a fish or whatever, completely removing and changing environment. Till this day, all of my friends I grew up with, my guy Jeremy Nate knows what's up. Kwabena, get over here. He knows. I basically never, and this is something I don't think about too often about, is I never saw any of my childhood people ever again, like all of them, right? So my childhood best friend, Adade, my, all of my classmates, my like people I grew up with, people I played soccer with, people I like, I picked mango with, people I stole watermelon with. What? Huh? People, I was cooling with never saw them again. My grandmother, who actually like raised me, I called my grandmother mommy before I called my mom mommy, actually, because I lived with her and her farm. That was the last time I saw her. It was the day we took off from Ghana, and she unfortunately passed a few years later. And something I really didn't deal with for a long time, and honestly, probably a lot still there, right? So, and then we, I take all of that baggage, all of that trauma, and I'm completely placed in an environment where I'm a complete outsider. I'm not a Black American, right? I'm a foreigner, right? And I'm certainly not white, Asian, or any of the other categories. So I'm like, some of them, if they knew, they would call me a foreigner. If they didn't know, they'll treat me as a Black American, which, by the way, isn't that much better, right? So it was just complete outsider, no circle I fit in. Most of my friends were international, right? Most of my friends also were in that category. And they also, some of them were international, but some of them also, and as Stu will speak to this in a minute, some of them were also Americans who were also outsiders for whatever reason, right? So those are the people that I connected with, right? And those are the people that kind of knew what I was going through, and there was an unspoken sort of connection there. All right, so I take all of that, right, and I'm being plucked out of my current neighborhood or whatnot, as a lot of Black Americans will know, plucked out of my current neighborhood and being put to magnet schools, right? So in middle school, oh yeah, he's smart, right? Take him out of his environment and take him to the nearest, usually white, usually kind of upscale type of school. So I never went to the same school for more than 2 years until I graduated from the high school that Stu and I graduated from, right? So just always, and by the way, don't get me wrong here, I was popular. It's not that I didn't have friends. It's that I'm talking about my internal dialogue here, right? Because these people were like, yeah, it was cool because I was athletic and everybody picked me for the kickball team and whatnot. But like true friends, I didn't actually have true friends. So that's middle school, and I'm bouncing all around, and I finally end up at a school that's like 98%. I don't even know the percentage, but it was really white. Not only was it really white, it was really elitist. If you've ever been to a private school event, you just know, like, it is, you understand that environment, right? So I'm going through all of this, right? Nobody's asking me what's up. Nobody checks in with me. Nobody's like, hey, how are you dealing with all of this stuff? Nope, that didn't exist, right? Because you got to keep in mind, my parents were also facing what they were facing. My dad, being a barber, caring for a family of 5. A lot of people probably be like, yo, how on earth did you do it? Chris, you're a financial guy, man. How does a barber take care of a family of 5 and put them all through private school?
I have no idea. I have no
No,
idea. Your dad is a mystery. He's an amazing man.
both.
Yes.
Took two, both of them,
Yeah.
because he couldn't have done what he did without my mother, right?
Right.
And but that's the situation we're in. We were like, look, we are here to make it. That's what we're doing. We're here to make it. So yes, I recognize you going through some stuff, but you still gotta do the dish, take out the trash, and do all that stuff. And if you have 30 minutes before it's 1 a.m., you go ahead and you do your homework too. All right. So I went through a lot of school. Just like I said, I had to think through school. Now, a lot of people are like, everybody got to think through. Sure, but I didn't have the time or like the support to like really dive in. Like, I would have been a much better student if I had those things, no question about it. So I really had to, nobody needed to teach me how to critically think. To survive, I had to learn how to critically think. Right. So when we get to, school teaches you critical thinking, please, right? Not in my situation. In my situation, school just slowed me down. It was just like, school didn't teach me how to critically think. School just put a whole bunch of lies in my head and made me feel worse about myself, right? Because it told me my ancestors sold my other ancestors, right? That's what it told me. All right. So you go through all of that. That's high school coming out. And by the way, still at this point, I'm still the model minority. I'm still the model. Like, if you got to pick a black student, you were picking me, right? If you got to really if you got to call a black student, come stand there and talk. If you got to come come stand there at the open house, right? If you got to still there to go to Boy State and be governor, if you got to I was still doing all those things, right? But it was like this kind of like double parallel of a life that there was this life that I was putting on for everybody. And then there was this where when I was by myself, I had to figure out. No therapist, none of that stuff, because I don't even know if my parents know how to pronounce therapist, right? In the sense that, like, what is that? What do they do again? You pay them for that? What? Go pray.
Yeah, that's real.
Go pray and drink some water. You be all right. Right. So again, coming out of all of that, college is where I found a bit of a tribe. College is one of the first places where I found a little bit of a tribe. But I showed up at college. I was an angry kid. I was mad at the world. I've been grinding as a lone wolf so long. Like I've been just grinding my gears and everything was just so freaking difficult. Just everything was just all the way through. And in college is where I really met one of the most important figures in my life. Her name is Jean Wu. And I didn't spend too much time. I only spent like 2 years with Jean Wu. And that woman was amazing, man. Amazing. Because not only did she have the context, right? She helped me understand my history. She helped me understand a different history, not the one I was being taught. One that actually didn't place me in such a compromised, like terrible situation where I just felt bad about myself and anybody that looked like me, right? And I felt like, man, how am I ever going to make it to the top? Felt like the only way to make it out, and a lot of people in my position, and I'm sure people who were not in my position, the only way out, I was like, I got to make money. I got to make some money. I got to make some money because I got to make some. That's how else you going to make it out? Who going to take care of mama? My parents don't have a pension plan, right? Barbers don't get 401ks. You know what I mean? My parents don't have a retirement plan, right? I am the retirement plan. Are their kids? Are the retirement plans? Y'all need to go to college, get yourself a good job so that you can at least provide me with a decent living when I'm older, right? Now, obviously, again, coming from the financial side, I try to tell my parents, different story for another day, but that's the situation it was. So we're talking about anxiety, depression, whatever mental piece you want to throw here. I'm pretty sure I felt all of it. All of it. All of it I felt, for sure. Even things I couldn't even put my thumb on. There days where I get up and I don't know what is wrong in college, right? There was days, I remember sophomore year especially, I was taking French, right? I was so set on going to France, so I was taking French. I'd written just a French paper, and my French professor called me in and told me, hey, I need to write you up for plagiarism. I said, huh? I was like, huh? Are you speaking French right now or English? Because I can't understand. What do you mean? So we go through this whole thing, and I was on the brink of being kicked out of school. Basically, everything my parents had put on the line, everything I had put on the line, right? This lady was sitting in front of me telling me it may be taken away from you, right? So at that point, I remember it was one of the biggest breakdowns, right? And You know, I felt like I had nobody, nothing, anything, like completely left alone, right? And I don't know how I made it through that. Oh, I do. I do know I made it through that. One day at a time. That was it. One day at a time. So I share all this to say, man, it's depression, anxiety, all that stuff is very, very real. And you don't need to get some clinical diagnosis. You don't need to get I believe we all go through it at a certain level. All of us, right? Whether or not it's been pinpointed and you've been diagnosed and given drugs, which I have, right? But regardless of if you haven't, I was dealing with that way for years before that came to be, where I was trying to find a solution. What was I supposed to do? And one of the things, to bring it back to what we do here on The Good Life, right? One of the things that I held on throughout all of that was health and faith, right? I grew up in a family of and listen, y'all heard me talk about religion, okay? Y'all heard me talk about the Bible. Y'all heard me talk about whatever. But the reason why I'm still a man of faith, regardless of what you want to say about organized religion, the reason I'm a man of faith, not a man of religion, is because I saw what it did for my family. It's what got us through.
Absolutely.
It is what got us through, right? And so, one, faith, and two, health. And when I say health, again, I'm not just talking about where it started. For me, it did start with sports. It started with sports, right? But it's not, I won't say ended, but it's evolved to where I am now, where I have a much deeper understanding of what it can do. Setting up your body to release natural feel-good chemicals, so I'm not waking up in the morning not knowing what is wrong with me. Why do I feel this way? Why am I waking up in such a terrible headspace? Why am I just waking up and I was never like suicidal or anything, but I don't want to, right? And by the way, being suicidal is like, that's not on the radar for an African. Like, you meet an African committing suicide, like, I don't know. That's pretty, like, that's not even like one of the multiple choice answers. It's not on there, right? It's not a thing, right? You grate and you grind through, okay? So, you know, I've had so many days, right? And I've probably so many friends, right? And definitely my partner for sure, where it's just like, look, I can't tell you what's up. You want to talk, but I got no words for you. I don't know what's up, right? So I got to roll up the sleeves and hit the weights, or I got to hit up sleeve and hit a run, right? And now I know I've discovered much better methods for not dealing with it just temporarily or in short term, medium, but also how do you address this long term? Because but all of that exists. And why I push back against the system so hard is because the system had failed me and so many people that I know so often. Completely failed us. All right. It's like, well, no, it's not bad. You don't need to. Okay, cool. Maybe not for you, but you can't tell me about my experience. I just told you what I went through. I just shoot, good for you. Maybe it worked for you. But I know me and so many others that it didn't work for. And now I'm on a mission to simplify the truth, to first and foremost find it, what works, simplify it in bite-sized pieces and deliver it to you guys.
Man, that's so powerful, bro. Like, thank you for sharing it, because again, I know people that are listening can resonate with it. It hits home because, like you said, your story is unique to you, but the feelings, the emotion, those things, right? Everyone goes through at some point, and you just kind of came full circle to exactly what we do here on The Good Life, and why we're having this conversation is because had you not gone through that, you may not be as committed to understand how to push against the system, how to get the message out, like what actually it is that you come here to do, right? Your purpose, your mission, right? You have to go through those things in order to get to this other side. And that's, the topic of the conversation today. And you just heard it from Kobi. And again, man, like, that's just it. I appreciate you being transparent about that story, but understand, like, this is a matter of You taking those experiences, those feelings, that trauma, learning, taking it in, and then putting it towards something that is going to now benefit the rest of the world. So, man, super powerful. And Stu, again, man, I know that we were talking about similar things on your side, right? Just going through a similar kind of story. Share a bit about what you were going through, man.
Yeah, so I think for those of you that were on the pregame, which Kabi was absolutely right. Like, if you want to hear the raw, unfiltered exploration of whatever the heck is on our minds for the week and what we're going to dive in, and if you want to contribute to that, check out the pregame 7 o'clock, because really a lot of what we do here is our second go at what we just really dove in. But what I love about listening to Kabi every time is the amount of passion and accountability this man has in his life. So what do I mean by that? Chris kind of summarized it. We were talking earlier on the pregame about how suffering is something that you can be grateful for when you realize how much stronger of an individual it makes you, if and only if you decide to do the work. That means you have to own your shit. You cannot just go around blaming and complaining. It is okay to realize that some things may not be serving you or serving the community. But if all of your energy is spent towards pointing out what's wrong, none of your energy will be spent on actually getting out of your situation. Now, I want to go ahead and point out a couple of similarities but differences. So Kabi and I both went from different environments, and we were put into a high school that was very one way. All right, it was definitely predominantly wealthy. It was predominantly the same skin color of my own, but I did not feel like I fit in there. Kabi did not feel like he fit in there. You might ask why. There was no diversity, and I don't just mean in terms of skin color. I also mean in terms of just perspective. And when there's no diversity in terms of perspective, which is one of the reasons why diversity and inclusion things are happening all over this country right now, is because when you have different people with different ideas and different backgrounds, it allows people to be themselves. You don't have to conform to a box. Now, I went from a public school in the country, tons of different types of people, up until third grade when I had to leave after that year. And when you're that young, we've all seen it. Like there's like this meme out there where this little girl says, "Hey, mom, I found my twin." She goes to get her twin, girl wearing the same dress. They have completely different races. We don't see that shit as kids. That is programmed into us. And going from that environment in that public school in the middle of the country where I had all my like friends and just everybody, to all of a sudden I've got to wear this type of clothing. I've got to know these people. I got to be in this carpool. I got to like these things. And I had to sit here and listen to you guys talk shit about the different types of people that I hung out with as a kid. So all of that led me to be incredibly isolated. Now, Kabi touched on this whole lone wolf thing. When you are in isolation for a period of time, you feel like no one has your back. It's honestly mostly an internal dialogue. There are people that care for you and try and reach out oftentimes, but you don't believe them. You don't trust them because the only thing that you see as a constant is you looking out for yourself. So that's where all of a sudden this hustle mentality comes in, where you work your ass off and you can pull yourself out of it. Now, I went through depression all through middle and high school because of that reason. I was supposed to fit in this box. Fuck that box. I didn't like it. It wasn't me. When I got out of college, when I got out of high school and went into college, I began to find my tribe, because the coolest thing about going from a class of 77 people or so to a class of 10,000 plus, shout out to UVA, like you have greater chances of finding people. I know so many people that come to me and say like, "Hey man, like I just don't feel like I have a community. I don't feel like I have all this other stuff going on." Oh, shout out Big Streets. What's up, bro? Just when you have more options and you put yourself into different clubs and social settings, you increase your chances of finding your tribe. And social anxiety, the only way to get through that, y'all, is to actually put yourself out there and try again. So the themes of accountability that we talked about here today are so huge, guys. I've lived in hell. That is depression, and then that is anxiety. And when you live there, time goes by so slowly. It's painful. And you can either spend that time and energy complaining, or you can try and do something about it. And there are 3 people right here that can help you with 3 different areas of life: health, wealth, love, happiness, whatever. Like, we have been through this shit, and we are trying to present ourselves here as resources and give you guys some value. I think the one last point because it's always so tough to interrupt Kobi, man. You get on these like amazing rants with such great like passion and everything.
I know.
So the final piece from my little spark notes here that we brought up so far is, let's talk about the system and how some people it serves well and some people it doesn't. Just because you look like me and you went to a private school and your parents had money doesn't mean that your shit isn't terrible for you. Sometimes things can go terribly wrong. The system actually benefited me quite well. I grew up with money. I went to a great school. I got a great job after a great college experience, no student loan debt. I cannot be any more grateful for everything of the system and my parents that got me to where I was. But I was still miserable because I didn't want to be myself. I didn't want to go after what fulfilled me. I was chasing money. I was trained to chase money. That is the system that we live in today. So I want to put that out there, because oftentimes it can be forgotten that if you look like me, there can be tough parts of your life. And it's okay to acknowledge that there are certain advantages. I think Kobi's mentioned it before. Like I got to choose if I wanted to be a chameleon or if I wanted to be myself in predominantly white crowds. Other people don't get that choice. And what I can say to that is, if you feel like you're struggling, you're still struggling. It's okay. I don't care what anybody else has to say about it. Go out and find help, because there are people out there that are going to be open-minded to the fact that whether you look like anybody on this chat or anybody else, you speak a different language, you come from a different social economic stance, man, it is okay to ask for help. Please do. You got 3 great resources right here, and we have all different types of resources out there. So, man, just ask for help, because as soon as I started talking about my shit, world got so much easier.
It's huge. It's huge. And shout out to Amber.
Hey, Stu. Go ahead.
Just real quick, shout out to Amber Rose on here saying like she deals with some of the same issues, right? And that's, again, this is why we do this, is because we know that everyone deals with similar things. But like Stu said, who are we talking to? Who are we talking to about these things? Right? How are we getting the message out that like, hey, I do need some help, or hey, like I'm struggling in this area? And that's, again, why people like us are here. And I'm sure there are other people out there that you can talk to about it, but this is why we do this. Go ahead, Kobi.
Yeah, I just want to just not gloss over some of the gems that Stu just dropped there. And I can't speak to the wide experience, and I won't try to speak to the wide experience. So I appreciate you being here to shed light in a responsible way, right? Because I think oftentimes the reason that it's not accepted, right, what you said in terms of, hey, listen, I'm struggling too, is because of the way that it's expressed, right? Without acknowledgement of what the system, the advantages that the system does provide. So I appreciate you first acknowledging that, and then also stating that, listen, at the same time, I'm still human. At the same time, we're still human, and we still have a lot of the same issues, and it's okay, right? Because I see a lot of white folks that just like the message of inferiority has been drummed into people of color for so long, so is the message of guilt. Like, you should feel guilty. And I don't think it's guilty. I think it's just taking accountability and being responsible for what is, and then continuing to speak your truth. You can do both. So, Stu, again, I want to continue to acknowledge you for how you do that, because, it shows a level of awareness that I think is incredibly important as we approach these topics, and a level of sensitivity that's incredibly important. And I think it's that type of approach that's going to allow us to have healing conversations that are going to heal our communities and are going to join us together in really creating a life, a world that we all want to be part of. Okay. So I also want to piggyback on the fact that, listen, the sharing is key. That's the other thing you said. The sharing is key. For me to be on camera right now sharing what I'm sharing with y'all is nothing short of a miracle. Ask anybody in my life. It is nothing short of a miracle. And it didn't happen overnight, y'all. Hey.
Hey.
It ain't happened overnight. It took time, and it continues to take time. It continues to take time. It continues to take work. But like you said, who do you talk to? Sometimes, and I think, this is coming back full circle here. This is why I really appreciate teachers and coaches and people like that. Yes, there's individuals who have the title that's supposed to be able to help you. Well, I'm a blank therapist and da 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 da. That's all good. That's all good. But see, listen, when you talk to Coach Jake, when you talk to Coach, speaking from experience, I've read the books, but I've also lived it. So when I'm sharing from a deeper place. I'm sharing from a place of knowing, right? And this is why, you see, for example, coaches have such critical roles in certain communities, right? Let me speak to the Black community, for example. I heard the great Jalen Rose today in the podcast speak about his coach, Perry Watson. He always speaks about his coach and how many lives that coach has impacted, because he could speak directly to the situation that these individuals were in. Directly. I've seen therapists and whatnot, and quite frankly, I really, as I sit here right now, if I find a great one, good. But I'm kind of like, on them, because everything you telling me, I could probably counsel you, right? I'm not saying but I could probably therapist you.
Bro, I felt the exact same way. I think I said that before, but I felt the exact same way with a lot of therapists. That's funny.
Yeah. I love this topic. And just to reiterate it from the pregame, I've actually had 2 therapists, and both were great experiences. One was like a 10, the other one was like an 8. So I think for me, here's what I want to say, just like I did before. In every single industry, this is for everybody all over the world. In every single industry, you will find people that are great at what they do. You will find people that are lousy at what they do, and everything in between. If you really want to pursue a certain route, shop around. If after a certain number of tries, that route is not working, let's take therapy, for example. If that therapy isn't working, then why don't you go ahead and try something different? Try a coach. Because one of the things I love about coaching is nobody tells me how to do my job. There's no red tape. I'm not regulated. I took a fucking badass certification. I practiced for 3 months. I did all kinds of shit. I lean on all of those personal experiences like Kobi's talking about, like Chris is talking about. We've lived this shit. That's why we do it. I didn't jump off the money train because I don't know. I had a fucking reason. This is what I love to do. Like, I went through something, and I wish I had somebody like me for when I was a kid, and I'm trying to do that for other people. So really, I cannot emphasize how important it is to shop around. And anybody that comes to me, I encourage them, like, check out another coach first. It's good. I want you to, because I want you to be fucking confident that I'm the right fit for you. So
I think
Rose, thank you for cutting in there, by the way. I appreciate that. If you ever want to talk about shared experiences, I'll be right there with you, because I did not feel like people understood me when I was going through it.
Huge. Kobi, I cut you off, bro. Finish that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to present here the idea that I've kind of run with for a while here is you really want to build yourself a board of advisors, okay? And a coach is one of those people, and can actually be a critical part. Thanks, man. And guys, I'm getting juiced up here, so give me a second here as I get juiced up.
You're good. That board of advisors is huge, though. Like
a coach should be. Oh, my fault. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I've had similar advice given to me about the board of your personal board of directors, and just knowing that, like, there's a bunch of different people that you need to surround yourself with in order to get better, in order to, people can coach you through your blind spots and the things that you're struggling with and all those types of things and oftentimes, again, this goes back to us not talking about it, or us not feeling comfortable or finding the person to be able to talk about it with. Oftentimes we need so many different people that can kind of point us in the right direction in each area of our life, that it's important. And coaches go right into that fit that mold in that board of directors, man. But continue.
Totally agree. You know, you want to design your life. I always say that you want to design your life, and part of designing your life is, you know, like we can take tips from the business world, from the private business world, right? Build your board of advisors is incredibly important. Who are the people that you go to in regards to your health? Who are the people you go to in regards to your finances? Who are the people that you go to in regards to your mental health and your happiness? Who are the people that you go to work through trauma? Who are the people that you go to get advice about your marriage or your relationship or your, you know, who are these individuals? And routinely test them out, right? Routinely make sure that they're still serving the purpose that you want them to serve, that they're still there for you, they're still showing up, they're still not just showing up, but they're still addressing the need that you need it where you are in your life. Okay, you may have to fire somebody, that's okay, and rehire, that's okay. You may have two that work together. Another thing I'll say, especially as it comes to health, is they don't necessarily all need to be related, but you are the ultimate decision maker. You don't want to give that power away. Those people are only advisors. Doctors are only advisors. My fault. I thought I saw. Okay, I thought they were coming. Okay, we good. We good. We all right. A second opinion, guys. Where does that come from? It literally comes from that world. Get a second opinion, a third opinion, from what? Another doctor, right? This stuff is really important, and I think we overlook this stuff because we kind of fall asleep a little bit. We fall asleep at the wheel, kind of think, you know, he got a white coat, whatever he says goes. Yeah, you can cut out my gallbladder. What you mean, cut out my tonsils? What you mean, do all this stuff, right? You have to educate yourself. It's your job. Financial advisors. They are advisors.
That's right.
You got to educate yourself to make sure that what they telling you ain't going to leave you with 10K missing all of a sudden somewhere. Do you know how many athletes have been screwed over because they just didn't pay attention, because they didn't take the time to educate themselves? And guess what? The funny thing is, right? When the doctor commits that crime, we were talking about this. We were talking about this yesterday. When the doctor commits that atrocity, I think there's a thing out right now. Partner was telling me this is thin out right now. Dr. Death, right? That you should check out. Right? I think it's called Dr. Death. You know, you hold me that. But when they commit atrocity, guess what? They're not always held responsible. They find ways to slither around and get away with these things. You know how many doctors out here doing all types of things out of bounds? Giving all types of out of bounds information, misinformation, right? And guess what? They go on to the next patient. You know, last year alone, ask me, or actually you go find out for yourself. And don't Google it, DuckDuckGo it at least. Go find it for yourself. How many people died from medical malpractice last year? And then compare that to how many people died of the pandemic. Come back to me. Because I'm telling you, one of those numbers is a lot bigger than the other number. And it'll surprise you which one it is. Right?
Stu is doing it.
How many people, last one. How many people, how many financial advisors can take thousands of dollars from folks and then they walk away and get other clients? We don't even see them on the news when we talk about, oh, so-and-so athlete went broke. You paying a financial advisor. How do you go broke? Isn't that their job? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's that advisor, my friend. Advisor. You signed off on it. You made that decision. Right? So I think it's incredibly important that we don't give up our power to so-called experts just because we think we're so dumb. Oh, you didn't go to school for 35 years. You didn't do this. You shouldn't understand. But see, the stuff has been set up to make us feel that way so that we don't question the way business is done.
So we don't question.
They raised the bar to 35 years of school so that, you know what? Once you're bought into the club, you're going to have a hard time telling the truth. Because how you going to pay off all that medical debt, that school loan debt you took out? Now you got to fit the system. You in the system, right? Whether it's medical, financial, legal, and shout out Mama Dukes, I see you.
Yeah.
Legal, right? They advise you, my friend, make the final decision. That means that you are responsible for educating yourself and bring yourself up to par. So these folks aren't just tossing things out there to get a commission. They're not just tossing things out there to get you. They're actually looking out for your best interest. And even if they're not, they don't get it by you now. Incredibly important. Get yourself a board of advisors and you overlook them. Fire them when you need to. And fire them with passion. Yeah, never.
So I want to, well put. I want to touch on one thing. You talked about doing your own research and taking ownership of this whole thing. So there's that common theme again of accountability, guys. Like, look up your stuff, own it. This is your body. It's not anybody else's. You're not a statistic. Like, you know how you're eating. You know all the different types of medication that I hope you second guess. All of this stuff, you know it. You know your patterns. You know your alcohol intake. You know all of it. Like, look it up, and then if you're wondering what to do with that research, trial and error. It's the simplest concept. It's amazing how much you can learn through trial and error. Trial and error through different types of diets. If you think a juice feast is absolutely insane, have you even tried it? We have this whole expression where you don't judge something until you try it. Don't judge a book by its cover. We have all these different things, but why don't they apply to things that disagree with the mainstream media? That's crazy. I shouldn't even said the word media on here. Oops. Yeah, guys, seriously, trial and error. It's a very simple concept. Like, if therapy's not working, try a coach. If a certain diet, like, I could go on forever. Okay, and the whole, we are so conditioned to trust authority. And it's very ironic that authority likes to silence people that disagree with it. Hey, if it's the truth, what do you have a problem with this guy saying some crackpot theory for? Because yours is going to hold up, right? Oh, wait, are you scared that they might try that and it might work better? Weird, dude. Weird. So I really cannot emphasize trial and error, guys. Like, please don't judge things until you try it. That goes for everything. We're talking like political theory, we're talking diets, we're talking different types of like movement and fitness and just wealth, everything.
Hear that, man. Accountability. You said it. I want to piggyback on that. The accountability part of things is incredibly important. Could be, you talked about the financial advisor, right? And again, advisor, huge part of that term and that title. And we give our power over to them too often, just like in the medical field or in the, with our health, we give the power over to the doctor. And this is where we go wrong, because we stop thinking. We stop critically thinking. They can lull us to sleep. The system can lull you to sleep by just saying, do this, and go this way. And that's what starts to happen. And then you pick your head up 25 years later and you want to try a new thing. You wonder why you get to this place. All those things are there, but you've been lulled to sleep for the past 25 or 30 years. And you don't understand that, like, now you've lost the ability to critically think about some of these areas. And we want to give you that power back. Like, all it takes is you just saying, listen, I want a difference in this area. I want to make a difference in my financial situation. Let's take what I do, right? I want to make a difference in my financial situation. Now, if I go find somebody that wants to manage my money for me and just take my money and then do what they want with it, which is sadly what a lot of people want them to do. They want them to just say, here's $10,000, do something with that so it makes me better, so I can have more money, or right, put it in a good investment. Just, I don't want to think about this. I want you to do this. And that becomes the issue because we stop learning, we stop understanding about money. This is how somebody that is an advisor that gets paid off of what they call assets under management, right? Where just because you have $100,000, they get paid 1% or 1.25% or 2% off of what's in there. They're going to make it grow. Then all of a sudden, before you know it, right, that 1% goes to 2%, right? Because it grew your pot. So you're still excited. You're like, oh yeah, you grew. And then that 2% goes to 2.25. And before you know it, like you said, could be, right, some things go wrong. You're not paying attention to it because again, you just you gave your power to this advisor. Before you know it, your investments aren't where they should be. They've been skimming dollars. And not saying, right, like everybody in the financial space is not good, but at the end of the day, if you give them that power, if you give that power to the wrong person, they may take advantage of it. That's just it. If you give them that power, they may take advantage of it. And we have to get back to a place of saying, no, I want this information. I want the knowledge. I need to know these things so I have power in this situation. I have this board of advisors, personal board of directors around me. And if for any reason I feel like this information isn't helping me, you don't have my best interest, I'm not getting to the places I need to get to, I can let you go. I still have that power. I still have the information. You don't control everything. And I really think that this is a huge conversation of accountability and really getting back to us owning every aspect of our life. Every single aspect. Your relationships, your health, your money, your happiness, your mind, all of it. Take back ownership of your life. And you'll have a lot of great things happen moving forward because you know that you can control it. But we're too accustomed to giving our power away, man. And I think this is a huge issue.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that real quick. If your focus, if you're looking at the things that are going like not so great, not ideally in your life, if your focus is on the things you can't control, aka blaming other situations, what makes you think your situation is going to change? You have to distinguish what you can control and what you cannot control. And what you can do is take ownership in so many different ways. To reiterate, diet, finances, health, movement, everything, the mental game. Like it is all there for you. But if you spend nothing but focusing on what you can't control, how do you expect anything to change? It's so obvious. It's so obvious. Yet, unfortunately, I have to find myself reiterating this quite a bit. What can you actually control? I have a client that is a fucking badass who has every single medical thing that could possibly be going wrong in her life. And when she calls me up, she has the most impressive mindset and the most powerful, compassionate mindset of anybody I know, because that's what she can focus on. The second thing that she can focus on is her diet. She does those to the best of her ability, and she keeps on going. I'm telling you, focus on what you can control. Seriously important.
It's huge, man. It's huge. Focusing on what we can control. And I think this is, this is a lost art form or a lost mindset. I don't know what it is, right? But we focus on too much of the things outside of our control. And then on the reverse side, like we just talked about, then we give our power away for the things that we actually could control, right? And we're just so worried with all these other things. Take back the power and then, right, focus on those things. You can control what you put in your mouth. You can, right?
Careful now.
I know, right?
What you mean?
Right?
I have to have a bacon. I must eat this. I can't give up cheese. Guys, people say this stuff all the time, right? All the time. How absolutely absurd is that? It's absurd.
Absurd.
What do you mean? Right? But the thing is,
Addiction.
I don't even blame them because context is important. Context is important. When you have media, television, print, whatever, that's constantly feeding you the same narrative, it's delicious. Why wouldn't you eat it? In fact, then you have science that's also supporting it. You need protein. Why wouldn't you eat it? Where's your protein? Look at the entire restaurant industry. Everything revolves around the meat. Pricing revolves around the meat. All the dishes. You go to a restaurant, you can't even order. But no, I don't want it. Take it off. I don't want the chicken. I don't want the steak. I just want this other stuff. Sorry, sir. That's just, they look baffled. They literally look so confused.
So true.
Right? Try it next time you go to a place. Try to order something and say, just take the meat off. I want this, that, and the third.
So
they
you
start
want
malfunctioning.
no chicken? No, nothing on there.
They'll come back like 3 times, sir. Did I hear that correctly? That you don't want the but sir, that's the whole dish. Like we just don't do that. Bro, there's so many times they'll actually just tell you flat out, we just can't do that. Why? That's crazy, right? And then not only that, okay, so you have the media, you have the science, then you have what? The people around you that support it. Look at the conversations we have around food. Mm-hmm. Man, I'll probably have so many followers right now if I just posted sloppy food all the time. If I just posted just how, look at me eating all this stuff. Look at me just stuffing myself. Look at the glutton that I am. Look at me. Oh, it's so delicious. I'm dipping it in butter. It's so good. Why wouldn't you? Oh my gosh, it looks pretty good. Like, God, you should follow. They post great stuff all the time. Bruh, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I'm looked at for being insane for telling people to eat vegetables and fruit. But people actually get all up in their arms when you tell them to drink juice. But how am I going to get all my nutrients? Like, where am I going to get my protein? Like, I don't know. Like, what's up? Like, that's so crazy. I just don't know. Is that even good for you? Am I going to die? You're already dying. You already speeding. You full throttle going down that path of death, my friend. You already dying, my friend. You came to me because you were already dying. You already feeling terrible. Your energy already low, right? But then the people around you, all your friends, they just all go out to eat all the time, right? You see it all on Instagram. That's all they do. People all they do is just post the food that they're eating, the new restaurant that they went to, the burger that they went to. See, what they don't post, right? They don't post the low energy, right? They don't post getting up feeling, going back to what we started out with, feeling that depression, anxiety of like, they don't know what's wrong. They don't post that, right? They don't post the constipation, okay? They don't post the discomfort in the gut, right? They don't post the conversations with their doctor telling them, hey, listen, these things, even them at that certain point will tell you, listen, you got to change your diet a little bit. Even at some point, they'll tell you, listen, you got to like lose a few pounds, maybe like clean, like maybe eat something green, like they even at a certain point, and even then they override the doctor. Even then they override them. Yeah, my doctor wanted me to do it, but you know what? I just can't give up burgers. I just can't do it. I just can't give this up. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. That, my friend, is known as an addict. Mm-hmm. That's known as an addict. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, but they're real quick to take that medicine from the doctor, though.
Ooh. Real quick. Easy way out. Easy way out.
Easy way out. I got a pill.
Fast forward, it's not even easy.
I got a pill. You'll be good.
I have to take my medication. It's like, there are people out here taking medication just so they could continue to eat the wrong food. That's how insane we are. We're so insane that we're taking medications so that we can continue to eat the foods that's killing us, that causes us to need the medication in the first place. How insane is this?
Yep.
Where do we live? In an insane asylum. That's where we live, my friends, right? And I'm gonna bring this home because it's 6. But ladies and gentlemen, friends, dudes and dudettes, you know what I'm saying? Brothers and sisters, you know, homies, please listen to this. Please listen to this.
While we're on the
We
note,
live in an insane world.
Yeah.
Like, we're so far gone from natural. We're so far gone, right? That it's no surprise that we have an uptick in all types of mental issues. No surprise no surprise that with all of the technology that we've developed, life expectancy, don't let them fool you now. Go back and look. Actually look. Don't just take their top number for fact. Actually look. When you factor and you cross-reference and you actually, right, you take into consideration everything that's done, we're not that much better off. Our quality of life is really not that good, like, relatively speaking. People actually kind of lived in peace a little bit more in the farm with their own food, with their own supply, right? They're actually doing quite fine. You know, money was heavier. A dollar could actually buy something. Like, we're not moving in the direction that we are being told we're moving in. Some of us are, because this gap keeps going that way, right? Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we're here every Wednesday, just trying to bring you the good life, just trying to bring you what we know, just trying to bring, and even seeking information from you as well. We're not just here just dropping this, but listen, we're all passionate about this because we've begun this sharing. We're on a personal level. We've experienced the pain associated with not having this information, the pain associated with not taking action on this information, and the pain associated with with the lies that's being told to us. But we can do something about it. We actually are in control. We do have the power. We actually are the decision makers. We just gotta wake up. We just gotta wake up and take our power back. Wake up and take our power back. All right. That's why we do this. That's why we show up here. We could be doing something. We could be out having burgers and beers right now. We could be doing that. Okay. But we not. We choose to show up here every week to try to bring you guys this stuff. And I hope you appreciate it. And even if you don't appreciate it, tell your friend. Your friend might appreciate it. We appreciate you, though.
That's right.
It's tough to follow that up. I want to say 2 things. Addiction to food is what we just heavily talked about. I want to know what you guys are addicted to when it comes to mental consumption. We're talking Netflix, the types of crazy shows that people watch and jack you up and make you feel all scared, and then you wonder why you're anxious afterward when you go to sleep.
Crazy.
I'm even talking video games because I play with fire on that sometimes. That shit jacks you up. It puts you in a survival state, fight or flight all the time. And you wonder why you can't relax, but you spend 12 hours doing this. So there's tons of different things you could be addicted to. And if you find it tough to put it down, ask yourself, am I addicted to this? What would happen if I stepped away, if I did a little trial and error, something different with my time? Would I feel better? Would I think better?
Huge.
Chris, bring this home, bro. Bring this home. Bring this home. What you can't fast?
What you can't fast controls you. Man, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to give you the credit before you said it. But a great coach of mine once said, right? Whatever you can't fast controls you. Whatever you can't fast controls you. If you can't take that out of your life, it's actually controlling your life. This is why we have to be aware of all these things. And this is why we come to you guys every week to keep having these conversations, to break free of some of these things. Some of these things you might not even be aware of. So maybe we're just bringing awareness to it. Maybe some of the things you actually are aware of, but don't know how to get through it. Well, then again, we're here to give you some of that information. You could always reach out to us individually because at the end of the day, we are all aspiring to live the good life, which harmony, right? Stu and I were talking about that briefly. It's harmony. It's alignment, whatever that means for you, but it's understanding that part of you that says, right, I'm in the right place. Mentally, spiritually, physically, right, emotionally, all of those things. And that's what we wish for you, all that are listening. That's what we want for you. So keep joining us, guys. This is week 25. This is episode 25.
You.
We're going to keep this thing going. It's going to continue to expand. We want to keep getting you the information. We want to keep giving you the encouragement and hearing back from you. So until next week, signing off for another Good Life. Gentlemen, enjoy your week. Ladies and gents out there, enjoy your week. We'll see you next week on The Good Life. Take care.
Take care, y'all.